Howdy there, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to all you skewers out there. It's December 14th, 2021. I'm Trey Crowder, and that back again. You know him, you love him. Filling in for Smart Markets, Corey Ryan Forrester, the Cho himself. What's up, Cho?
Hey Trey, thanks for having me. I'm s-
Thanks for coming
so
back.
I'm so sorry for all the 400 people that just clicked off as soon as they saw me on here.
No, they're fired up now. Everybody loves the Cho. You know it's true. I wanted to make sure you know. Got a little bit of bad news for you. You know you're supposed to be off Fruit Loops right now.
Oh no. Well, I mean, I okay. It's because of Kellogg's, right?
That's right. Yes, Kellogg's
This
are on some serious bullshit at the moment. So, trying to avoid giving them money. Big labor dispute. They're trying to fire all their hard-working employees, bring in scabs, a bunch of other
you
bullshit.
remember
So,
how
yeah.
you remember when the whole Chick-fil-A thing was going down and like that was really difficult for me, but like you were just like, yeah, whatever. I didn't really eat it anyway, so it was really
Yeah.
easy for you to look like a good person.
Yeah.
Well, because of my recent change in health and the fact that I'm not really eating anything bad, I'm in that situation now where like it's so easy for me to be like, yeah, boycott Kellogg's. But like if this was like 6 or 7 months ago, shoo, buddy, I'd be in a rough shape right now. So kudos to everybody out there that normally would be eating that cereal and ain't.
Well, it's one of them deals where, that they fall under an umbrella. Like with
Yeah.
Kellogg's owns a bunch of different stuff, but
Yeah.
I
Right.
looked at it and I don't remember all of them. But it's not too hard to avoid. So yeah. And also, I guess we should say, just so everybody knows, Smart Mark is, of course, fine. He had another, job thing. His job, I'm not a big fan of his job.
I hate his job.
I know his job, it
I
sucks.
bet
But
he
anyway,
hates it too.
but
Hey, did
but
I
he
tell you I got
will.
recognized the other day because of this show?
No, but that's neat.
Somebody came up to me and they were just like, "Mark, you've gotten fatter." Yeah, that was
Still bald though. Uh, yeah. Well, hell, let's do it. Producer Matt's with us. This is Weekly Skews. Want to remind you, if you're vaccinated and want to see me and Corey live, you can go to wellreadcomedy.com for tickets to our stand-up shows. We'll be back home at Zany's in Nashville this weekend. Saturday shows are sold out, but Thursday and Friday still have some tickets available. So come see us in advance of the holiday. We sure would appreciate it. All right. On the show tonight, if you've ever felt like getting drunk and sending texts to your ex was ill advised, wait till you hear what they found on former Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows' cell phone. Also, the very embarrassing relationship this country has with its educators. And a little later, we're going to be joined by Kentucky activist Ariana Velazquez to discuss the state of the Commonwealth in the wake of this weekend's horrible storms. All that and more on tonight's Skews. But first, as always, the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Yes, tonight's DD. Most of us, really, for not having the foresight to be born to a legendary professional athlete father. That's right. Corey, this is going to be close to home for you as a Georgia Bulldog. Do you know
oh,
Herschel
God
Walker's
bless.
son, Christian, I believe is his name?
This is a rough one, man. This is a real rough one for me.
So Christian, Herschel Walker's son, made a video where he was yelling at a gas pump about Joe Biden, or yelling at Joe Biden about a gas. He was bitching about gas and blaming it on Joe Biden, talking about how it's obscene that the prices were so high. In this video, he was wearing a $1,200 sweatshirt.
Yeah.
So that didn't sit very well with the internet, and he has now responded to that criticism. Let's see his response, please, Matt.
The Democrats don't like me because I'm rich. I'm sorry that my parents were lazy on the couch all day waiting for handouts. I'm sorry that they built businesses and won championships, and now I can shop at Fendi and Givenchy. I just hope one day people realize it's not my fault that we work hard and build things worthwhile. End scene.
Well, he seems like a nice young kid, well adjusted, good head on his shoulders.
Dude, I swear to God, it's like the other side was like, "All right, I'll tell you what, we're gonna make it real difficult for Corey. We're gonna get a gay black guy say something now, Corey. And also, by the way, he's Herschel Walker's son. I'm
Right.
like put into such a corner here, but I gotta tell you, and I might be getting some heat for this. Now, I don't agree with maybe how dramatic he was in the video and maybe the ultimate point he's trying to make, but like, I do agree that, like, look, it's possible to be rich and still bitch about gas prices. Like, that's totally okay. Him bitching about the gas prices as if any president really ever has had anything to do with gas prices for the most part. That's the insane part to me. But, like, one doesn't really have anything to do with the other. And I personally do kind of think maybe that is the Democrats, their version in this one of, like, when they go after, like, some sort of spelling error instead of the thing that they actually should be bitching about. So I don't disagree wholehearted with the video, but I do disagree with most everything else that he stands for, I think.
Well, just that general entitlement that so many rich people, especially rich kids, have in this country. You know, sorry, my parents weren't. Like, if your parent isn't a, Hall of Fame college and then later professional running back, then that must mean they were lazy pieces of shit.
Yeah, no,
who did nothing.
Yeah, please understand that part. Fuck him for. I just meant, like, the whole notion of, like, anyone saying that, like, if you're rich, you can't talk about the price of gas or the price of milk. That's insane. But yes, that part, like, that's just dripping with bullshit.
And then at the end, he says, "I'm sorry that we worked so hard." And it's like, did you?
You didn't do shit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, anyway, moving on. Our first honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is anybody who ever thought that Dr. Oz wasn't kind of a piece of shit, Yeah, Matt, let's watch a little bit of this clip. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but let's just see how it goes here. He's addressing some criticism.
The hosts on The View think I changed because they found out I was a Republican.
What happened to him? He's gone over to the dark side.
They think I went to the dark side because I love America. I want to serve this great country.
We all know Dr. Oz, but I feel like he took a turn.
This is some political aspiration that he has that must be controlled. Mehmet, please come back.
Our campaign is gaining momentum, so the liberal media wants to cancel me. The Philadelphia Inquirer stopped calling me doctor, even though I'm a practicing physician who's performed thousands of heart surgeries. They claim they don't use titles, but they call liberal politicians like John Fetterman by his title of lieutenant governor. It's just more media double standards. We won't be canceled. I love America. I'm a conservative. I believe in more.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to, and I'm not just saying this, and part of this is just my daytime TV bias or whatever, but I've never had like a high and glowing opinion of Dr. Oz personally. Like, I don't feel betrayed by what's going on with him at all, because I've always, like, I don't ever watch a show or nothing, but I was like, yeah, no, he's a fucking snake oil bullshitter, right? Isn't that what he does? So
he's like, yeah, there was no part of me that ever was watching the glorified, like, televangelist with a medical degree who's no better than some sort of, like, one of those late night QVC predatory, like, oh, let's prey on these old people and get them to buy these copper bracelets. That's like all of what he is, regardless of the actual medical license he has. But, like, there never once have I been like, I bet that guy's a well-meaning liberal. You know what I mean? Like, that's none of this surprises me. And it's also just that crap of, like, we're not going to be canceled. It's what somebody says when they were never in danger of being canceled. And also, by the way, got to tell you, I'm dying to get canceled because every single time somebody gets canceled, they get a $10 million Netflix special.
Yeah, yes, I was going to bring that up too, especially on their side of the fence. Like, dude, he was chomping at the bit to be able to claim that they're trying to cancel him. He's so pumped to be, in the crosshairs of the woke mob. Like, they live for that shit.
They do.
They act like they're being oppressed by it, but they fucking love it. They eat it up because it gives them something to, be about.
It's a victimization thing. Like, it's a bunch of people sitting there and, like, seeing the world kind of actually start caring about other people and start caring about, like, oppressed, minorities and whatnot, and thinking to themselves, I need to get me some of that. And the only thing that they can do is be like, I'm being canceled, so that they can scratch that victimization itch. I mean, in my opinion, again, like, I've just never once really seen anyone claim to be canceled and it matter even a little bit. And furthermore, usually they get richer.
Yeah, that does seem to be how it go. Our next honorable mention, all the thick single ladies out there who, for some reason, are not lining up to be with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh, yeah?
Let's hear it from the man himself. Yeah.
You're open to dating?
I am very open.
So maybe that's
dating.
what you want for Christmas.
That's what I want for Christmas.
A nice
yeah.
dame. What are you looking for in a woman?
Yes.
Tracts of land?
Tracts of land.
Yeah. No, what are you looking for in a woman?
Some person that just wants to like date me for who I am. And what I'm looking for in a woman is I like a girl with a little bit of butt.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Slim waist, big tits, big boobs.
Now, dude, you're a guy. Let people get mad at that.
Okay, cut it out.
Every
like-
guy in the
like
world's
big
a
butts, so,
hypocrite. He cannot lie.
Into a racial issue.
No other brother.
Kyle Rittenhouse, like, correcting himself for having said tits or whatever is like not a thing I had on my late 2021 bingo card. You know what I mean?
I know.
Like,
I just want
slim
someone
waist,
who
big
loves
tits.
me.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
Said the noted murderer of people.
Murderer, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want someone who wants me for me, a self-proclaimed vigilante who has fudge stains in my whitey tighties. Like I just need someone. Yeah, that's that. Guy,
I also wonder what
with some butt. By the way, he said I like a girl with a little butt.
Little butt. I wonder what the like as opposed to what, do you know what I mean? Like what does any woman think that she's getting into with Kyle Rittenhouse and then does not get that thing? Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like he's probably pretty much what you would expect. Yeah. You know.
I just want a girl who doesn't care if I open carry at Chili's, you know?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, no, they know that about you, dog. Like
pretty much. You're like famous for being someone who open carries at like a Chili's.
Yeah. That's right.
Also, I gotta tell you, like, I am kind of like, I think he's just saying all that to maybe get some more chicks because, like, I do gotta assume that, like, he does have some girls lined up for him. Because, like, we've all seen them conservative ads with them big-titted blonde ladies shooting machine guns. Like, they exist by the dozen. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gotta love this guy.
There's always stories all the time about every like mass murderer apparently gets stacks and stacks of love letters in prison.
While they're in jail, though. Yeah, right.
Oh, do you think that's part of it? Like, if they weren't in jail, they're like, women wouldn't do that. It's like, if he's really right there, if I can meet him at the Outback, then no, maybe not. But if I can pretend I want to while he's safely behind bars, then let me write this letter real quick.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they let him off. Like, he's technically not murdery enough for them.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, that's poor Kyle Rittenhouse.
What a sad little bitch.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got Mike Pence for not just getting fucking murdered already. Okay. Because then, you know, Donald Trump might not have to continually point out how much of a bitch he is.
Is he doing that again?
Yeah, of course he is. Let's see it right here.
And I feel badly about it. Mike, had he had the courage to do what Thomas Jefferson did, but a minor version. You know, Thomas Jefferson kept Georgia. You know that? He didn't send it back. There was a dispute. Hear ye, hear ye.
Right.
The great state of Georgia.
Shit.
What did he say that Thomas Jefferson did?
Maybe you know, you're from Georgia and you're you like history and stuff. He said he kept Georgia, didn't send it back. I don't know if producer Matt knows. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Georgia was we were a
penal colony, right?
Yeah, I was about to say we were pretty much just a bunch of people who didn't pay their taxes and thus had to be like imprisoned or whatever. But maybe I don't know that part of us, but like. What did Mike Pence do that was so bad? I mean, there's a lot of shit that obviously me and you think Mike Pence did so bad, but what sort of awful thing has he done to Trump this time?
Steal the election for him.
Oh.
Mike Pence had to like certify those results or whatever. That's part of the role of the vice president. Yeah. And the expectation was that he just wouldn't do that.
Right.
You know, I don't remember the exact like parameters of how it was supposed to work out, but it was something like that. Yeah. And producer Matt says, That's what he was claiming, that Thomas Jefferson didn't certify Georgia. I don't know what he's talking about, though. So, yeah.
Dude,
I mean,
you know what
kinda
I'm
par for
worried
the course for
about?
Trump. But remember, that's what people were like.
Yeah.
People were like wanting to kill Mike Pence on January 6th or whatever.
They were like screaming, hang him and stuff
Yeah,
like
they
that,
had
right?
him like hung in effigy and stuff like that. Well, that's because he wouldn't do that thing, to assist Trump in stealing the election or whatever. That's how he became a villain.
As a comedian, are you nervous right now about this whole Bill O'Reilly Trump tour?
What do you mean? You
Let
think
me
our people
explain
are going to
why.
be going there instead, or what?
Well, look, no, I'm just saying, man, like we saw that people weren't filling up these arenas. And when you go back down, it's theaters and comedy clubs. I'm just saying there's going to be a time in the near future where we get screwed out of a weekend because Bill O'Reilly and Donald Trump are doing 9 sold-out shows at the fucking Yuck Yucks because they couldn't, fill the Bridgestone Arena.
I feel like you're being optimistic there. I mean, maybe they ain't selling tickets. These two on tour together. I gotta feel like every dumbass for miles is showing up.
Did you not see how they were having to close off the balcony and stuff, and there were like huge gaps of people not there? They've killed a lot of their fan base.
They did kill a whole lot of their fan base. You're right.
Yeah.
They did kill them, and that will hurt ticket sales down the road. So, hell. No, I didn't realize that. I'm glad to hear it, though. It's for me.
Yeah.
Although, I ain't trying to split a weekend with them or nothing. That'd be some wild shit right there.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy. Okay, let's see. We're going to check in with a returning dumbass here. She's like a 4 or 5 time dumbass, I believe. It's Jenna Ryan, everybody, the Capitol rioter who flew to D.C. on a private jet and then claimed she would never go to prison on account of she's white and rich and is now going to prison, that lady. Last week, we were talking about how she's looking forward to prison because she thinks she can finally lose that last 20 pounds she's worried about. She's getting her prison body in shape, she thinks. And this week's update is she's been meeting with prison consultants and reading prison blogs in order to learn prison slang. So she's now feeling pretty good about her chances, Cho.
That was a Kevin Hart, Will Ferrell movie. That's Get Hard. That's the plot of Get Hard.
Me and Mark were talking last week. I know you just started Succession. There's a minor storyline in the 3rd season of Succession where one of those characters pretty much
getting
does
ready for
exactly
federal
this
prison
thing, and it's just wildlife imitating art or whatever. But yeah, she's saying like she's learning all these prison words, and I just imagine her going up to some hardened felon in there or whatever, and it's just like, "What's up, home girls?
Oh, hi. Where's the Aryan Nation? Can I go over there?
You point me to the Aryan Nation corner, please,
dude.
Hope no one's got any shivs. Heard all about those shivs you guys got."
I'm going to have some toilet wine and talk about that new Sex in the City that just came out. Hey, I'm sure that this has been pointed out but like when they say things out loud like, oh, I'm not worried about going to prison because I'm white and rich. Do they not hear themselves and go, oh yeah, right. That's why a lot of people are mad right now. Is that whole thought process. That's
no, they don't. But dude, they have no self-awareness whatsoever about it. I mean, half of the things they ever say are like baldly hypocritical, and they never have any awareness of any of it.
I don't like the term you just used.
Oh, baldly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just
very
be creative.
Explicitly hypocritical. How about that?
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to use the.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. We're not a protected group yet,
but no, she says, she's learning a lot of things. She's learning it's a totally different world in there. But then she said, quote, "But since I'm also a life coach, I can imagine that I can imagine I'm gonna end up making some pretty genuine connections while I'm in there."
Yeah. Tell T-Roy all about avocado toast and see if y'all are still buddies. You know what I mean? Get the fuck out of here.
All right.
Is it bad to hope that she dies while in prison? I'm asking sincerely.
If it's bad, I'm right there with you. We'll both be bad together, baby. Because, certainly wouldn't not hit for me. All right, let's talk about the story today here. Talking about these text messages, Cho. Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, was originally going to cooperate with the January 6th committee, and then Trump, cracked the whip, said, you can't do that shit, and he backed out. The committee's going to hold him in contempt of Congress. And as part of this process, Liz Cheney read some of the text messages that they already had received from Mark Meadows.
Before you go into this, I need to know, it's pretty important for me to know, where are we at on Liz Cheney today? Because I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, that like it seems like once a week Liz Cheney sort of does some sort of like gymnastics, and like every now and then it's like, oh, she's one of the good conservatives, and then she'll go fucking bananas. Like her and Meghan McCain do that shit where everybody's like, oh, see, these are what, and then like 2 days later they're just like, brown people fly, planes into building. Like, I don't know. So today, where's Liz Cheney?
I mean, yeah, she ain't no hero, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like she is, one of the good ones as far as conservatives go, just because she's willing to acknowledge that like treason is bad.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, she ain't conservative enough. That makes her a rhino, so they shitting all over her. But yeah, I'm not going to be like stumping for Liz Cheney or nothing. But so a lot of these texts were from prominent, at least the ones they've got a whole lot more of these texts, obviously, and just a few have come out so far. And a lot of them were from Fox News hosts who were texting him on January 6th. Laura Ingraham texting Meadows, telling him to get to Trump and make him do something. Like Laura Ingraham texted him, he's destroying his legacy. Brian Kilmeade said, please get him on TV. He's destroying everything you have accomplished. Sean Hannity said, can he make a statement, ask people to leave the Capitol? They're all just like begging him to get Trump to do something about this. So it's all these, and also the other prominent texter was Donald Trump Jr., which I thought was pretty funny. Like he can't even get a hold of Daddy directly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like that's what their relationship's like.
It wouldn't surprise me if he genuinely didn't have his like actual number. Like he just had a side number.
It's like, I can't put you through.
Just get me on WhatsApp. Can you Snapchat me? It's fine. If it's important, I'll have some.
Right. Well, it seems to be something like that, because he also was texting Meadows and just saying, he has to do something, urging action by the president. We need an Oval Office address, something like that. So, I mean, like, the big takeaway here is, all these people were very aware that this was not a good thing that was happening.
Yeah.
And they were, like, begging him to do something about it, and he wouldn't. And then later, not just later, ever since then, all of these same people have, of course, been acting like, really wasn't that big of a deal. It was, hell, it was Antifa. They were blaming Antifa in the text messages. But it's just, again, we all know that they're full of shit, obviously, but having it just sort of like actual evidence of it,
the whole thing, I just like, it really puts me in such a melancholy state of mind, just because like you see it, you see all this now, and then you go, yes, okay, there it goes. It confirms to me that these people, hey, the Hannitys of the world, not stupid people. Assholes, bad people, not stupid people. So not the non-stupid people, absolutely no. They're also vaccinated, by the way. They're vaccinated. They know that January 6th was a bad thing. And all of their people now can see that, but instead of going like, oh my God, this should change my opinion on this whole deal, they're just going to watch Hannity and all these dudes do the mental gymnastics to, like you said, jump back on the, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal, and then nothing's ever going to come of it, and whatever. There'll be a goddamn Showtime limited series about this bullshit in 20 years, and everybody going, yeah, wouldn't that have been great? And Donald Trump will die at 96 years old, just lived a fine life. It fucking sucks, man.
Yeah, 100%. Because I agree with you. It is. I've thought the whole time nothing will ever ultimately come of it, because that's just not how shit goes in this country. And it's one of those things. We say this all the time, but it's always true. If this was somehow reversed, if the like the political barometer on this was going in the other direction, that's not a good metaphor, but you know what I mean. If this was somehow some liberal shit, or it happened in Obama's presidency or something like that, like, dude, I mean, they still talk about Benghazi and Hillary's emails and Hunter Biden's laptop and all that shit. They never let any of that stuff go. So imagine if it was something on this scale, but yet we'll probably never see any type of ramifications for it from them. It also says to me that, and again, also not surprising, but that these Fox News hosts, that they basically outright fear their primary constituency or their primary fan base or demographic. Like, they know, it's like, listen, it's like they all have this tacit agreement behind the curtain that they're like, listen, we all get it. We rile up the rubes and we pay for the yachts, right? Like, that's what we do here. And we all understand that. But like, these people are lunatics,
Right?
And we're making them more lunaticy, but we ain't never got to face no, repercussions for that. And as long as the yacht checks keep coming, who gives a shit? But they don't want anything to do with these people, and they don't actually care about or respect them or any of that shit.
Of course not.
They're just
because they know that Antifa shit is bullshit. Like, they know that, like, the worst thing a liberal is ever going to do to Mitch McConnell is fart in his soup. You know what I mean? Like, if Mitch McConnell comes to a restaurant, there's a liberal in the kitchen, they'll fart in his soup, but that'll be about the end of it. But, like, these people are Kyle Rittenhouses. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, dude, I'd be afraid too if I was them.
Yeah, it's disconcerting to say the least. Producer Matt was saying before the show that he thinks that like a big part of this play is to try to illustrate to Mark Meadows, just because you are now refusing to cooperate doesn't mean that all this stuff isn't going to see the light of day. Like, we've got access to it already. So you trying to just stay at home and, pull your cards back or whatever is not going to work.
I just don't, like, what else could there be that comes out that would even matter?
That
like,
would
all
matter.
all the stuff right now to me is enough, but it's not enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, anytime, like, I remember, like, 3 years into his presidency, they kept going like, oh my God, did you see the new thing that came out about Trump? And I'm like, well, I got to tell you, unless it's worse than all the other shit that has come out about him already, which it's probably not, then it's definitely not going to matter because they don't care about that stuff.
Right. And it's like, the DOJ could actually press charges and all this type of shit. And it's like, yeah, I guess hypothetically they could, but the people we're talking about, like, that don't ever happen to them. Like, they're not going to get high-level politicians. They don't get fucking arrested or charged with things. They don't.
Nixon leaves
they don't
on a
get
helicopter.
like kicked out of Congress and shit.
No.
It's like the only thing that could happen is they get voted out. But again, all this stuff super hits for the people that vote in their district anyway. So like, what is ever supposed to happen?
That's like the point. That's like half the point for most of these people. You can tell of getting so high in power in politics is that they basically have immunity the rest of their life for any of the other crap that they do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that seems to be what it is. Like, well, if I get high enough on this and I do a tax thing, I'll call in a favor. You know what I mean? Like, the Blagojeviches of the world are the exception, not the rule.
Yeah. Well, let's move on before we get too fired up on this subject. We do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We do. No, it's all right. We've got a guest tonight. We're going to get into that anyway. Thrilled to have her. Our guest tonight is a 23-year-old self-described Filipina hillbilly from Pikeville, Kentucky. Maybe it's Pikeville. We'll find out in just a second. But she graduated from the University of Louisville this year with a degree in political science and is now a JD candidate at the University of Kentucky. She is a multi-state Appalachian political organizer, serves on the board of numerous Kentucky nonprofits, is the youngest person in Kentucky Democratic Party leadership, and she also is a musician and writer. Everybody, please welcome to the show, Ariana Velazquez.
My goodness.
Did I say that right? Ariana?
Yeah. Ariana Velazquez.
Velazquez.
I'm not a
Some bitch couldn't say the word Louisville, but he got that right. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I went to University of Louisville. Yeah, it's not a native Pike County name, but my mom's family is related to the McCoys, so it makes up for it, I guess.
Oh well, there you go. Well, fuck the Hatfields. That's what I've always said.
I've been saying.
Thank you for being here. And I guess just to start with, can you kind of just give us sort of an update on how things are going there in Kentucky in the wake? I'm sure everybody knows, but there were massive storms and tornadoes rolled through the South, and Kentucky in particular was hit pretty hard. The last I saw, it was upwards of 70 people that had died, maybe more by now. Billions in property damage. Got pretty bad. So how are things going?
Yeah, so my presence on this should be some indication of how it is. I'm not from Western Kentucky, but everyone's pretty much tied up right now. So some people asked me to do this. Basically, what's going on is my cousin's one of them, fishing people out of the old candle factory. From the news reports, we've seen that they probably were threatened.
Yeah.
they would be fired if they called in due to inclement weather. Thank God some people actually did, but a lot of people did not. And so we've just seen this widespread devastation in multiple factories where people were afraid to lose their jobs. So they were killed or seriously injured. So my cousin's a firefighter with Fayette County, and they're bringing in firefighters and first responders from all around the state to help with the recovery, and they're not recovering as many people as they'd like. So right now, the most important sorry, I'm just getting a little choked up. The most important thing for people to do is to please stay home. I've seen a lot of people pack up and drive there, but really, you're just another mouth to feed. What people need there is to find these legitimate efforts by first responders, by people in the community that are trying to find ways to help people there. Like the Tide truck came and washed people's clothes. The governor's relief fund, which people can find and donate to pretty easily, has raised over $8 million. That's great, but you taking a camper and driving down there is not going to be very helpful. There are people that are trained to do this sort of work. Give blood. There's a blood shortage right now. I know I'm planning to give blood. I'm doing what I can. I'm in law school finals right now, but I've been working on compiling a list with a bunch of the organizations I'm involved with. Luckily, I have a pretty big network, so I've just been trying to get donors to the right links, make sure the links are legitimate, make sure that everybody gets what they need. It's not necessarily good to guess at what people need. They're putting out calls for specific items. There's even places where people are making runs to deliver the donated objects from official places such as courthouses and fire departments. Look for those. Please don't guess at what people need. They might, please don't pack up 80 gallons of water and drive down there. Then they have to worry about where am I going to store the water. So just please bear with everybody. There's not a lot of good internet connection down there. So a lot of my Western Kentucky activist friends are just off the radar. They check in every now and then. But we aren't doing too hot right now. And we're just seeing the death toll rise.
Do you so how can people really know which places specifically are good to donate to versus the ones that are not? Because that is something that I know that people wonder about when things like this come up. Like, do you have a particular resource or somewhere you could point to people? It's like, this is always good. Start with this, the governor's fund or whatever it may be.
Yeah, well, the governor's fund we know is legitimate. They're working specifically with all these disaster forces, and any organization that's you can look up a directory of volunteer organizations if you want to volunteer. There are places that are accepting volunteers, and you can go and volunteer and do that sort of thing. Just there's already disaster organizations set up to do this sort of thing. A lot of the churches, the United Methodist Church, my church, the Episcopal Church, has a disaster fund, and they immediately got on the Zoom meeting with the diocese in Western Kentucky and said, what do you all need? How can we help? And so they're using the churches to do that. So churches are generally okay. Salvation Army, the Red Cross is doing a ton of blood drives. Generally, schools are okay. I know that the Family Resource Youth Services Center, sorry, that's a mouthful. They've been doing things too. Look at newspapers. Kentucky newspapers have been putting out lists upon lists upon lists of legitimate sources to donate to. If the GoFundMe page is set up by a organization you've heard of or is a registered nonprofit in Kentucky, it's probably cool. But I would hesitate to donate to places that are just somebody out of the blue saying, give me money, I'll go. There's plenty of resources. When in doubt, just donate to Team Kentucky through the Governor's Fund. And you can type in your Google search bar WKY Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund and find it right there. It's really easy to find legitimate sources. Just please don't give some rando money, or it might be fine, it might not be fine, but I just want to make sure people.
No,
That's a good lesson for everybody in every situation. Good call there.
Well,
Don't give some rando money.
Unfortunately, things like this do
does.
always attract opportunists and whatnot. So, I mean, you do have to, watch out for that type of thing. Producer Matt has said if y'all want to, viewers want to go to weeklyskews.com and contact us through there, he'll provide a list of some resources for you. But I wanted to ask you, I'm from Tennessee, Corey's from Georgia. It's December right now. Like, I know, we get tornadoes. Tornadoes are a thing, but not typically in December, right? Like, that part is pretty wild also. Like, there's some larger implications here, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, I mean, just me personally, I'm going to say climate change.
Sure. Doesn't seem to be too crazy of a thing to say in response to this.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be. And I don't think it's an accident that in Appalachia there's higher incidence of cancer and also chemicals in the water, and so on and so forth. I'm just saying, I know causation and correlation, sometimes, but sometimes it is what it is. It's pretty obvious what's causing something. And I think this is definitely, we were warned if we didn't do something, we were going to get extreme weather. And this is extreme weather.
And how do you feel about, a lot of the politicians around there in Kentucky, not typically ones for, being in favor of climate change being real, I guess we should say. Kentucky Congressman James Comer has repeatedly denied it, just as one example. And it's one of these times where you wonder, like, how much more, like, is there any kind of turning point for these particular politicians, like in Kentucky? Is it frustrating to you as a Kentuckian knowing that, a lot of the people in charge are probably not going to take the proper lessons away from this based on history?
Yeah, well, sure. And I think it has a lot to do with people are still running the same sound bites, coal's going to come back, and so on and so forth. And I feel like there's just this disconnect, specifically in Central Appalachia. We weren't really given anything else. We had all our eggs in one basket. So, say, for example, up north, whenever whaling was a thing, people had things to switch to. They switched to factories, steel mills, and so on and so forth. Well, we were just told, yeah, everything's fine. There's so much coal, it won't run out and whatever. And so in the absence of something else, it's kind of like, well, the Republicans are lying to us, but at least they're promising us something. So, I mean, I think also there's a place for Democrats to tell the truth, but tell it. You can't repair overnight that lack of trust in the South, in rural areas, mountainous or not, where you've got people with very low levels of like institutional trust. So they aren't going to believe you. It's the same thing where we don't have a problem in some of these counties electing local Democrats, but we have a problem electing Democratic state reps in the same district. There's this like distrust of like even like the state party above a certain level, but like people will trust individual people that they know that they interact with. So, I mean, it's going to take a ground up approach of repairing that trust before people are even going to listen to these authorities, because it's been so ingrained in us that, okay, you just tell us whatever and you lie all the time. So people aren't going to believe you that the Green New Deal would be good for Appalachia because it would bring jobs in. People aren't going to tell you that. People aren't going to believe you when you say that.
Right. And so we're having a bit of like a labor moment in America right now. We were talking about Kellogg's earlier, as a big John Deere strike, the guys in Alabama. And, wrapped up in this story you mentioned earlier, the workers at the candle factory were reportedly like told they would lose their job if they tried to leave and seek shelter in the face of this impending storm. And there were some other stories about some Amazon employees who, faced similar circumstances with these storms, people that weren't allowed to have their phones to contact loved ones or to keep an eye on the weather and things like that. And, ended up being stuck at the facility. And I'm saying it feels like there should be this opportunity to really illustrate to people that these are not your friends, like they're
Right.
not on your side. These large employers, these big corporations, you know, they don't have your best interest at heart. And it seems like there should be an opportunity for the Democratic Party at various levels to be on the side of the people that are working. As you know what I mean? Make it clear, like, we're on your team. They are not, and in situations like this. But I know that it's difficult, because it's true. That's true in most southern states. And I know you still just kind of don't see it happening, whether the effort isn't there from the Democrats or whatever. But it's upsetting because it feels like there are opportunities, that aren't being taken.
Yeah, and I feel like with that, I mean, this is just like a microcosm of like the bigger problem with we're losing like these white working class people. Um, and people will even say things. Me being multiracial, I've seen it from both sides. It's real odd. People saying, me trying to explain white privilege to people. And you may not think this is relevant to this, but it is. People will say, well, I'm white, but I'm not privileged, and not meaning, knowing the meaning of it. But like, people don't feel like the Democratic Party takes them seriously all the time. So they're not going to, they feel like they're elitist. I've seen in a lot of these
Of
instances.
course, yeah.
And
Sure.
so I've seen, whenever you damage somebody's self-worth, they're automatically going to shut off. What the Republicans do is they feed into their, we understand you. And then also there's this weird prosperity gospel element, why people are okay with rich people taking advantage of them. They're okay with letting the wealthy hoard their riches at the top because they're like, well, God's blessed them. They didn't earn it. And
Right.
people have stood there and argued with me. And I'm like, I don't think are we reading the same book here? But anyways, it's all a convoluted problem that the Democratic Party is going to have to address religiously. They're going to have to address it, at the local level, and rebuild their relationship with the white working class and those non-college educated white voters, or else even when they're trying to help them, they aren't going to believe it because the Republicans have them so under their thumb, and they've monopolized the flag. And there's this belief that you can't be Christian and you can't be a Democrat and you can't be this, like that these things are mutually exclusive until the Democratic Party addresses that. And it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, this is going to be years upon years upon years of there's going to have to be a long game and a short game. We're not going to be able to win back these workers. And, Appalachia used to be such a union stronghold. Well,
Right.
it's sad. Where did that go?
Right. I know.
Where's for the working people? How did we lose that?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, yeah, it is definitely going to be a long haul, to say the least. But as long as we've got, people like you, boots on the ground, actually doing the work. I say all that. Me and Corey, we just say stuff, and we enjoy saying stuff. But I just got a lot of love and appreciation for people like you who do stuff. So
you make us feel very bad about ourselves, and that means you're doing
but
a good
very
job.
good about the future and just the people back home, knowing you're there doing it. So we appreciate you, and thank you for coming on the show. And like I said, one more time, like producer Matt said, we'll go to weeklyskews.com. We'll get some resources posted for you. And Ariana, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep. All the best to y'all back there. Okay. It is frustrating in a lot of levels, but also just mostly sad. It's one of those things where it's like you see people, people actually affected by it, and a lot of people out there doing. I bet like who they're voting for and shit ain't coming up very much.
Right?
Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
Like in situations
because it's a real.
like this.
There's a real thing going on.
Yeah.
But like she mentioned that Democrats have a real moment here, and that's true in the sense of like honestly, you could kind of stop. You don't even have to go the whole global warming route right now, even though clearly that's sitting there. But the real elephant in the room is that okay, you don't believe in global warming, sure, but there's literal in-your-face evidence, and it is impossible to deny that some of these deaths are the result of bloodthirsty, unchecked capitalism, without question. Without question. That's not a scientist don't have to tell you that. That is just text messages from people who were there texting their loved ones that said, I can't leave or they'll fire me. And this is something that Kentucky is very used to. People having to choose between feeding their family and their lives. This is the exact same thing that happened when Purdue Pharmaceuticals came in and offered them Oxycontin to help their back out when they were in a coal mine. So again, yes, global warming obviously could and should sometimes be at the forefront, but right here, I don't even think you have to talk about that. Just look at what actually has happened, that you don't have to have someone with a science kit to figure it out. It's just right there.
Right. And that's the type of thing that like anybody, I don't care.
Science kit, by the way. Sorry.
Science kit works for me, but I don't think that anybody on whatever side of the political spectrum, when you hear shit about like, if you got a buddy working in a factory and wasn't able to go home when the fucking tornado was coming and was told he would be fired if he did, and then he stayed there and fucking died, even if it ain't your buddy. I don't care where you're at politically.
Yeah, it shouldn't have to be your buddy.
Like, that's fucking bullshit.
Right.
Like, that should not happen. And it's like, it's just dystopian, the relationship we have with like workers in this country, and not just from the capitalists. Also, some governmental employees, namely teachers. It is laughable the way that teachers are forced to operate in this country. And if you don't believe it, watch this wonderful opportunity that some South Dakota teachers received at a hockey game there. This was a contest amongst South Dakota teachers to get money for schools. See what they're doing? For people only listening, it's teachers on their hands and knees picking up dollar bills. Those are singles. That's $5,000 in singles. They're in the middle of this hockey rink picking up dollar bills and shoving it into their clothes, into their shirts and stuff, explicitly for the purpose of spending on school supplies. It's not just like, anybody here wants to come and get as much money as you can, buy more beers with, come on down. Like, that's whatever. It was explicitly for teachers to purchase supplies that they're obviously not getting in the first place, and this is what they're doing for it. And it's pretty sorry. What do you think?
It's very sorry, and it's one of the things that I look at so much differently now than I would have honestly even 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I don't know, because I thought about it the other day during the SEC championship. All right, during the SEC championship at halftime, everyone knows what happens. You come at they bring two college students out. And Dr. Pepper sponsors this thing where you throw the football in the hole and whoever wins gets their scholarship. Now, when I was younger, I would look at that and I'd be like, oh, cool, right on, whatever. But now through the lens that I'm looking at it now, it's basically America going, hey, you poor dumb motherfucker, throw this ball in a hole and then
do
you
a
can go
fucking
to college.
circus trick for us.
For college.
Go out there and do a circus trick if you want college.
And hey, and don't worry. If you're the one that loses, you can go to Afghanistan.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Dude.
There's no other way to put it than what I just said.
I watched that same thing, and I thought the same thing. Those contests have been around as long as we can remember. And, when I was a kid, I was always like, that's cool. They'll give them that shit, or whatever. But now as an adult, every now and then one will pop up. It's like, watch this student make a layup, a free throw, a three-pointer, and a half-court shot in the span of 30 seconds to get their entire tuition paid for. And it's like, that's really cool basketballing that the guy did. But it's like,
it's insane.
Fucking insane that we're having these, like, like producer Matt it's like Hunger Games. It's like Squid Game fucking shit.
Yeah.
We're putting people through in this country just to be able to get an education or do their job that they're getting paid to do. You know, it's fucking ridiculous, man. And it's sad.
It's super sad. And like all that like so many problems in our country start right here and could be if you just fix this one thing. If you don't worry about which you should worry about all the other stuff, but if you don't worry about any of the other stuff and you just fix education, I think you'd be surprised at how much of the other stuff starts getting fixed too, such as, but not limited to, prison. You know what I'm saying? But man, I mean, you know, my wife's a second grade teacher and like, I've never seen her going all Raiders of the Lost Ark on $5,000 in singles, but like, you know, they constantly are just like, yeah, I guess we don't get to do this year. And the thing is have enough pencils for everybody unless Corey goes and buys us some, you know, or whatever. Like,
well, dude, and like every parent knows, I mean, maybe not parents with private school kids and shit, but obviously you're paying tuition for that. But if you got kids in public school, they're all like out here in Southern California, they take every year at the beginning, there's like a wish list for donations for the classroom, and it's classroom shit. And it's like, of course, we do it and are happy to do it or whatever, and you kind of don't even really think about it. But it's also like, why don't they just have the shit that they need in the first? Why is it taken for granted that they don't have all the resources they should have when meanwhile we're passing nearly, you know, new $1 trillion military spending bills or whatever? Producer Matt is a South Dakotan, and he's pointing out South Dakota is a tax haven for the rich. We talked about that on the show recently. Also, South Dakota ranks near the bottom in terms of education spending. 50th in the U.S., and that's a list that includes Washington, D.C., in average salary for teachers, and the state spends $10,805 per student, which is 38th in the country. Also, the U.S. Department of Education approved a South Dakota plan to use the American Rescue Plan funds for their public schools, right? But South Dakota politicians voted against the relief bill itself.
Can't believe it.
So, right, I know. That's the other thing, too. The same thing, you know, because it's big government or whatever the hell. Socialism. But the things that would help address a lot of these problems in a lot of these states are, you know, murdered by the politicians from these states. And it's like, no wonder, you know, you never get nowhere.
By the way, while we're talking about this, and this is not me trying to toot my own horn, because admittedly, literally all I do is I will retweet it and I have a platform. But I have teachers all the time tweet at me their Amazon wish list for their class. I retweet it, and because me and you have the best fans in the entire world, those lists are often cleared and taken care of. So if you're listening to this show and you're a teacher, the only thing I can really offer you is, I mean, I buy some of the items from time to time too. I don't just always retweet, but if you tweet your Amazon wish list at me, I'll retweet it, and our fans are awesome, and we take care of teachers that way. So at Corey R. Forrester on Twitter.
Yeah. Get that Twitter plug in there, baby. I like it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Producer Matt says South Dakota teachers are fighting for a 6% raise right now, and if they manage to get that raise, which obviously very good chance they won't, they will still be 50th in the country in terms of salary, even after getting that. Yeah, that's what Matt said.
Yeah,
and Matt knows what he talks about, Joe. He's one of the people that knows stuff, Producer Matt. He's a stuff-knowing son of a bitch. Matt, I'm going to start looking through some comments and whatnot, at least try to. You know, I've been.
Is that the only, like, in the bottom 10? Is that the only state that's not from the South that's in the bottom 10? Because we're always like, it's usually Mississippi. No offense to all our Mississippi fans out there.
Mississippi probably 51.
Right.
Alabama's 49, Tennessee's 48, Georgia's 44th. You know, whatever. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, I guarantee you the bottom, 10 or 15 is just the South plus the Dakotas.
Right.
Plus fucking where else is dumb? Arizona probably dumb.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like most places
red
are pretty
states.
dumb. Yeah.
Indiana, it's down there.
Super dumb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, man. Al, I'm getting bummed out.
Yeah, I know. We're good for that on this show, buddy. We're real good for that. World just be that way, you know.
Dude, it does, man. I've been thinking a lot lately about how, like, we should just, like, I don't know, like, if the earth was a video game, we would be taking it out and blowing on it right now. You know
Absolutely,
what I mean?
buddy.
Like, we just need a hard reset. It just sucks being alive and yeah.
Super Yoda on YouTube says, I saw y'all in Birmingham. That was the first time we'd had a night out since the pandemic, and we loved it. Highly recommend folks catch the show if they can. Thank you for that,
Thank
Super
you.
Yoda. Sam Martin on YouTube
That was
says,
the first time we had been out of the house in a while, too.
That's true. That was the first time we had, in a year and a half.
Yeah.
Sam Martin says, we love Corey. Can we get producer Matt to come on the show at some point? I doubt it. I'm gonna tell you right now. He's a shy boy. He's a nice young shy man
and a surly fuck. We love him.
No, he's just not. He ain't much for the on camera work. But we wouldn't be doing none of this without him. So, somebody Craigist on YouTube says, well, it is South Dakota, so that still kind of counts. I bet North Dakota ain't worth shit neither, though.
No, I bet.
You know how them Dakotas be.
Just ain't worth a shit, yeah. By the way, again, we can say that because we are from an area that is very often not worth a shit.
Yeah, of course. Right. For sure. Absolutely. I mean, we made it clear that Tennessee and Georgia, they don't hit either.
Do not hit.
No.
Yeah.
Aaron McCullough says, how ready are y'all for this weekend's homecoming shows at Zany's? We're very, very, very thrilled, very pumped.
So
Matter of
excited.
fact, we don't know what'll happen with this or what we'll end up doing with this, so it's not some huge announcement, but we're filming these shows this weekend at Zany's. So, we're going to be on our absolute P's and Q's. We're really going to be, pedal to the metal is what I'm saying. And because of that, we've been anticipating it for a long time. We always anticipate the Zany shows because they are like homecoming shows.
For sure.
We love the club. It's right before Christmas. Everybody's all fucking holiday drunk and stuff. It's always a blast, and it will be again this time.
Yeah, it kind of makes me want to cry thinking about, when we get through the shows at Zany's, the first thing I think about is next year's shows at Zany's. It is my favorite time of the year, truly.
Yeah. Rebecca on YouTube says, hit that button, skewers. Thank you, Rebecca. I'll be down if I didn't forget again. Y'all know, hit all them buttons. Like, subscribe, share, all them buttons you can hit.
It's so amazing
Please hit 'em.
how shitty you are at the internet, yet how good it seems that you are at the internet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm like the Kramer of the internet.
You really, that's such a perfect example. You are the Kramer of the internet. You just bust through doors like, you want to play golf, Jerry?
Yeah. Falling backwards into stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It ain't wrong. Oh, it's so funny. Everybody in the comments is like just saying their state. They're like, we also don't hit.
We don't hit either.
We don't hit either. Don't forget Idaho. Arkansas sucks too.
Yeah. This is just in America. Awful. Yeah. That's so fucking funny. I love your fans, our fans, these fans.
Yeah. Our fans, these fans, us fans. All fans are good. Let's see here. Somebody randomly said, we get some trolls. I don't know if this was a troll or if it was somebody being legitimate, but I briefly saw somebody say most Americans can't name a country that begins with U. And some guy said Uganda.
Uganda.
Showed his ass. Yeah, how about that?
Uruguay.
Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Europe. Dumbass.
Yeah. Okay. Oh shit. It's 6:00. Yeah. And Judy, damn it. Where'd you go, Judy? Judy Kidder Browning from Facebook says, gonna miss the Skews over the next couple weeks. Yeah. So before we go, reminder, and I'm going to set 2 posts to post automatically in case I'm, too far into the holler. Me and Mark are both going to be in rural America for the next 2 weeks doing holiday stuff. Parts unknown, dispatches from the holler, as it were. And we're not going to have internet or probably even cell phone service for most of that time. So this is the last Skews of 2021. Again, I'll try and post reminders, but we will be back.
I was on a historic Skews.
That's right. We will be back January 4th, 2022. Everybody have a fantastic holiday season and as lovely of a end to this godforsaken year as you can muster. And we'll see y'all on the other side. Thank you, Cho.
I love you, Trey.
I love you too, baby. All right. See y'all. Bye.